when I look at the last so many years, what bothers me about being an American, when you talk about having, I don't know, pride, I don't know if pride is the right word specifically for me, but feeling good about your country, it comes down to these illegal and fake wars, war crimes that have been committed in these various countries: Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Egypt, and then their attempt to do this in Syria.
Aloha. I wanted to make this quick video to give a good example of something I mentioned in the last video, but I've also been mentioning in many of the recent videos, which is this in-between good and evil illusion that has been created by the over accessibility of information on the internet by one means, but also just the desensitization and the desensitization of our observations of reality, what's really going on here, and the normalization of things like death, destruction, genocide, conquering, colonizing, and this whole thing. This has been normalized for the so-called post-Columbian European American. So when I reference race, it's to reference a weapon. It's to reference a weapon that has been used against the peoples just as much as heliocentrism has been used against the people. And you could argue, one could definitely argue that race is at least equal, or if not more, of a threat or harmful, or has been more detrimental to humanity than the heliocentric. The heliocentric illusion is secondary to the original reversal of us interpreting what this reality is really about, based upon like our own perspectives coming from just like, all right, well, what are we doing here? What's going on? Who are we? What's our relationship to the land and each other, so on and so forth. So what has happened over the years is that the mainstream media, that you could see, the mainstream media was actually developed back when they started to create the heliocentric mechanism. So just as much as the heliocentric or the mainstream media is utilizing race relations and all these backwards, reversed, and upside down versions of reality, today, the same thing was used. The mainstream media back 500 years ago was like the newspaper or the word of the monarchy, or what was accepted by the people who are conquering, the ones who are on the side of destroying nature. This is why I said there is no in-between here. There's no in-between what we call good and evil. This religious interpretation, the way mainstream religions have personified their relationship with the Most High, the existence of the Most High, what they call God, the way they've personified it with stuff like the Bible and mainstream religions and so on and so forth, it has taken away from our responsibility. The way God has been personified in mainstream religions, that personification, it deifies our godly nature and our relationship to the Most High and our expression of the Most High in every moment. So once mainstreamers personify and dumb down and normalize something as complex and infinite and vast as the Most High, once that has been personified by illusionists, by alchemists, that's when people can be controlled. So this has been happening generations upon generations upon generations until since the original illusions were created. After the last empires fell. So this empire had a beginning. You can trace it back to a sort of beginning. See, mainstream truthers today, so-called truthers today, they don't trace it back to that. Like that video says, people start their timeline based upon what they are comfortable with. So people who haven't gone to the timeline that predates, they haven't healed that wound, they haven't researched that work, if they haven't gone to those depths, if they haven't gone predated the post-Columbian era, then their version of change, their version of good and evil only starts at the beginning of the timeline that they are comfortable with. So the way I'm observing what's happening in specifically the so-called United States of America, people in the United States of America have an identity crisis right now. There's an identity crisis going on because a big chunk of the majority of people here who were so-called immigrants, European immigrants, who now have been conditioned to believe that they're the original people here in many different ways, or they've created a timeline that makes them believe that they're original people in many different ways. They have, in a sense, created their own timeline. They've created their own truth. They've recreated their own beginnings. So this is the Make America Great Again world. This is the 1776 revolution against the globalists mentality from Alex Jones. This is a conspiracy world consciousness. And what's happening is that you have these different layers of consciousness approaching truth, and the loudest ones and the ones that are promoted, I should say that first, the ones that are promoted are the ones who are promoting the normalized truth. This is what's happening. There's normalized truth that's being promoted. So the normalized nature of a post-Columbian psyche has been promoted through the mainstream internet, social media, mainstream media, Hollywood, so on and so forth. And that's what's holding back the masses from being able to go beyond the limitations of the illusionists that are out here. And I say holding back in a sense that they're not necessarily holding us back. It's us holding us back because it's our responsibility to break the change. Like people like this channel and other people I've already talked about. This is second nature. Like I don't even have to explain this to certain people, but this was a good example to share to some people because there's still a lot of uncertainty out there about where I'm coming from. Then when I talk about race, this ain't shit personal. This ain't nothing personal. I'm talking about a psychology. I'm talking about something that was invented that has an intelligence behind it to affect us in a certain way. When people see or hear my words, see these videos or hear my words, they automatically interpret what I say from a personalized view, from something, obviously from their own level of consciousness, but they personalize what I'm saying instead of being able to see the macro picture of how this has been affecting us for generations. So I wanted to share this video before I started talking to give a really good example because unlike Alex Jones, I like this dude. Like this dude, not my pockets of future, pockets of the future. That guy is a really good, like his information that he shares on there, he doesn't seem like super religious. He just tells it like from his perspective. But for some reason, there's been one more video where he went kind of like pro-America or pro-colonial world on this, where, yeah, he went there one time. I was going to do this before. I think I mentioned it before real quick, but I don't really like doing that because his thing is like make real quick, like 2-3 minute, 4 or 5, sometimes 20-minute videos explaining stuff, but mostly little videos just sharing little information here and there about how fucked up things are and what the system is doing to distract people again. And the intricacies of mind control. He does a really good job of bringing that to the surface. He's even gone to the depths of some of the flat earth information with the Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving stuff, fake moon landing, all that others. He's somewhat on board there. Hasn't really gone to the depths of researching what that is, but is at least like stepped 2 feet in there. He's not tippy-toeing anymore. He's there, and it's gonna get. The thing is that matters to me the most, and because this same mentality is in the flat earth, it's ingrained within the flat earth community in many different ways, especially with the its relationship, the mainstream flat Earth's relationship to Christianity and the Bible and so on and so forth. And obviously with the mainstream truther community with Alex Jones and so on, conspiracy theory, these Mark Dices and was that Buzzsaw and even Vice News claims to be kind of like sharing like truthful information. All of these outlets, all of them, every single one of them are dedicated to maintaining the position of a post-Columbian timeline. So this is what Trump represents. Trump represents that mentality of chaos. Some people obviously think, like, intelligent people are gonna, and even like less than super intelligent people are gonna see that he's a piece of shit, obviously. And then you have the not so intelligent people, the other side, which is a huge group of people, given not even just the education system, but well beyond that. The other side of that, the ignorant people, more than half of them are going to like love and adore this dude. And the other small percentage, I don't know if it's half or whatever, but there's another percentage who are going to hate him and hate the entire system. And so there's all these different percentages that are based upon chaos that are started with a timeline that was created by illusionists. So the main thing that I'm really wanting to emphasize here is that there is no in between good and evil. And that's what you're seeing right here with even this pockets of the future. This dude, he's like one of the, as much as I like his channel and the information and the style that he puts out, this video just confirmed to me that these so-called truthers, they have there's no what's the word? there's no quality to their quantity. There's no what's the damn word? There's no substance there. There's nothing behind it. There might be a color and visuals, but there's no words behind it. There's no intention behind it. And this is the main thing, and this is why I want to make this a short video so people can understand where I'm coming from. In all these communities, flat earth communities, so-called truther communities, Mandela affected communities, all these individuals are in this linear sort of what's the next truth? What's the next distraction? What's the next thing the mainstream people are doing? What's the next this? And the real truth that is in the essence of the individual, the essence, their relationship to the Most High, their relationship to themselves, their relationship to each other, their relationship to the earth, their relationship to the non-physical reality. All of these perspectives are not even at all acknowledged. And this is what our ancestors, the ones that were genocided to create this empire, they were genocided. Their entire relationship with this reality had to have been destroyed to create this in-between good and evil timeline. This is why I'm saying I want to emphasize this shit and keep harping on this shit. There is no fucking in between good and evil. When you're talking about the politics and Trump and Hillary and all this other shit, and in any kind of way talking about how Trump could be, a good guy because he's pulling troops out of Syria. The fuck? Like that's missing the whole point. And then so when he says feeling good about your country, feeling good about where you, like, first of all, your country, second of all, the thing is, he says he doesn't feel good about his country because of all the military and industrial complex and all of these orchestrated wars. And he goes, and then he goes off talking about Syria, Libya, and all this other stuff. Are those lies? Obviously not. That's not a lie. But the lie comes when you place it up against the timelines of other people. So when we as indigenous Americans talk about our relationship to the country, you see how his entire fucking story doesn't even exist. It's a fucking fairy tale. It's a fucking fairy tale. The American dream and everything, all this other bullshit, these fucking people they are the ones living in an actual simulation. So-called white people who call themselves Americans in the United States, they are the ones living in a fucking simulation. They're the ones living in a false universe. They're the ones living in a false creation story, in a false human story, a monkey story, in a false empire story, the false politics. They're living in a fucking Alice in Wonderland, Underland type of reality. And every single piece of news that's put on the mainstream media, every single piece of news that's put on social media is designed to keep you from, to distract you from going beyond the timelines of these fake ass truthers, of these fake ass illusionists. So they have to constantly bombard you with how fucked up Donald Trump is and how fucked up the government is and the globalists and the cabal and the reptilians behind the politicians and all that other stuff to keep the political timeline, to keep the Colombian timeline alive. They need that shit. They can't have anything. This timeline would not exist. Their simulation would not exist unless they continue to tell these half-assed soul token type of stories, like bastardizing the relationship, your entire experience, your soul, down to just doing good things, like donating money to a charity gives you a fucking soul token. Are we that fucking simple? Like, is this whole reality? Like, some people are. A computer generated synthetic organism trying to look like it's an organic human being would define the soul as, and this experience, the relationship the soul has with this experience, as just soul tokens, money, getting some coins, doing good things for something else. True good deeds are not done for anything else. They cease to be good deeds when you do it for some kind of ulterior fucking motive. So by saying that this entire experience is based upon coming here to do good deeds so you can evolve in the next layer of consciousness, you're missing the whole fucking point. You're taking the humanity, you're taking the organic nature out of what a good deed actually is. You're turning something non-linear into a linear Webster's definition of what it actually is. And we all know that that's what led up to how fucked up things are today. It's because everything has been shrunk down to this fake bastard ass, bogus ass definition of how things are. And we don't even know anything about what's going on. So since we've started this truth movement, so-called movement, started on chaos, it's still in chaos. It hasn't healed from that chaos. It's still trying to find out what truth is. And it's defined, the truth movement of today is still defined by the lies that it unveils. It's not defined by the truth that it expresses. That's the difference. That's what I said. The truth, the lie truth that this community is based upon is this in between good and evil shit. There's no intention there. When you're in limbo between good and evil, it's kind of like those who are silent in the times of whatever the quote is about those who are silent in the times of strife or something fucked up going on. Then you're taking the side of the aggressor or the one who's doing the fucked up shit. Like, anytime you are in that limbo space, that's when you are taking the side of the individuals who are trying to take advantage of the people, the innocent ones. And some of the innocent ones are the ones that are in limbo too. So this is how you get more bang for your buck. You get smart, dumbass people. You get half truth truthers, because now you have them in limbo and you have the completely dumbed down version of people. So let's just see this now. Now instead of getting, let's say, 30% of people completely dumbed down and but that's being completely generous. But just to, for example, if the malevolent energies could only max out at like 30%, which is a lot, which it's probably more than that. The thing is, they are completely like in this black hole of submission and just kind of like totally powerless, like psychologically, physically, and spiritually destroyed in many different ways. And it's not impossible to come back, but it's like very gone. Then you have the people in between who are kind of like knowing a lot of this so-called truthful information, conspiracy theories. You let's say there's like 20%, and that's being generous too. The thing is, since they don't have any intention, you can see that 30 plus that 20 still exist outside of the 50%. The other 50%, for example purposes, which is truth that exists with intention, that is not any fucking bullshit ass, oh, the lie's this and the lie's that, and oh, this is so fucked up and everything's fucked up, and there is no get over it bullshit here. There is no, yeah, the wars in the military industrial complex and the indigenous people were conquered and everything was colonized, so we should just move on bullshit. None of that is in this other 50 percentile of people who are holding on to this world. Fuck you and any other fake ass truther who is out there trying to sell fake ass timelines. This fake timeline truth is the most dangerous shit that's out there. And we don't fucking realize it because a lot of the times we're too linear. I'm not separating myself from that because a lot of the majority of the information I get here comes from linear YouTube channels, comes from linear type of approaches from certain people. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just warning people, be very careful. Be very cognizant of getting caught up in that, because this is what happens in like the New Age community. This is what happens in mainstream religions. This is what happens in red and blue politics. You're being played and you don't even know it. It's kind of like how Mike Tyson was explaining what the boxing arena is about. You're watching the boxing match, you're watching all this shit go down, but you don't know the fucking origins of it. You got people betting here and there, and then it evolves into UFC and all this other shit, but you don't know the fucking origins. You didn't know that the origins of boxing came from the white gangsters back in the day, who were the original gangsters, who were destroying all these fucking pieces of the community in order to protect, their turf. They were the original gangsters. So what happened was they started to create these, I can't remember the names of what he said the names of them was, but they created this arena where this gang, the red gang and the blue gang, Democrats and Republicans, they sent their strongest fighter out to the ring, and whoever won got to dominate the entire community for an entire year. This was the origins of, or not the origins, but this was the same kind of mechanism that's being used. You can see the relationship to politics. It's a controlling of a timeline. So red and blue fighting in the arena lets the gangsters control the rest of the world for an entire amount of time. A year, 2 years, 4 years, 8 years. What's happening? They didn't own, these fucking assholes are fighting and talking about owning stolen fucking land. They are living in a simulation theory. So this is what I'm saying. This is how I'm seeing the simulation theory is now. See, maybe, no, I'll save that for another video. This is why simulation theory is so big in the mainstream university system. Mind you, the university system that doesn't have any real intelligence. It only sells illusions. It's basically a Hogwarts. It's like a Dollar Tree Hogwarts. None of the magic actually works. It's like what is it? It's not even like a Hogwarts. The mainstream university system is like what's that magic store in like Pee Wee Herman, the movie? Remember the magic store? Any kind of magic store. It's a fucking magic store. So you go to the university system to learn your particular trick. You learn your particular degree. You learn your particular spell to make money against other people. You see what I'm saying? So this is what happens in this world of simulated realities. So in the world of simulated realities, you have simulated truth. Simulated truth. And when you have simulated truth is based upon generic what's the word? Damn it. Timelines that have something else attached to it. Timelines with attachments. So they're like, it's kind of like a Chromebook or something, like a laptop, like a Chromebook. You don't have all that. Can you access the internet? Could you do your homework? Could you do all this other stuff? Yeah, of course you can. Is it cheap? Oh, fuck, it's fucking wonderful. But it's still limited. You're completely, it's a literal Google instrument. So you can only access so much. You can only use their products. If you want to use it, you got to crack it and do all this other shit. But basically, it's cheap. It's cheap on purpose. It's cheap so it can suck you in and trap you into that reality. That's why this world is so cheap. That's why McDonald's, that's why fast food is out there. That's why the 99-cent menu. Basically what's happening is that the so-called civilization of the entire world today, the so-called first world, the so-called colonial world today, is the 99-cent menu of reality. And since people are used to going to McDonald's every single day, the only thing that they're trying to do to make you think that things are changing is that they're changing the menu. They're changing the 99-cent menu. They're telling you that things are organic now. They're making the drive-through a little faster. They're making their products. They're painting the outside of the McDonald's. They're planting trees around the McDonald's. They're sticking an organic sign on the building, and they're saying this is change, but they're still seedless grapes, just stamped organic. They're cleaning the bathrooms. They're still using, all these chemicals, and you're still eating plastic food, mind you. This is what the truth community is. The truth community is a 99-cent menu at best through a drive-through that's being remodeled for simulated truthers with inorganic timelines. This is what's happening right now. Inorganic timelines are being amplified over the internet, over social media, to overtake the organic timelines. Inorganic timelines are being promoted through this distractionary truther bullshit with all these linear stories like no forest on flat earth, mud floods, Mandela effect, flat earth even, any of this other shit that's out there. All of this is all linear information. It doesn't become activated until you activate it, until you do something with it. But the thing is, you don't know what to do to know how to activate it because you haven't activated yourself. And you haven't activated yourself largely because most of your time has been spent being distracted by the linear stories presented to you by the system. And the system makes its money by distracting you. That's why it keeps it going on and on and on. So that's basically what I wanted to say with this video. I wanted to give that really, really good example because it ties in Trump, it ties in all of the mainstream media, it ties in the truth community. It's real quick. it also shares like how I'm not like going against these. I don't see myself going against these people. Like the majority is like I'm happy that they're doing the work that they're doing. The thing is, even the people with the best intentions can drive you off a fucking cliff. Can put you in harm's way. So like channels like Pockets of the Future, I like that channel to a certain degree though. And also the thing is, I can't share like that. That information is good only on certain videos. Like other people that I was sharing information with, that shit is slow. It's hella slow. It's not really talking about anything of any kind of deeper sort of thing. I think he does get into like a deeper sort of spiritual interpretation of what's going on, but I'm pretty sure he channels it straight back into Christianity. And this goes into, like I was saying in the last video, about the way this stuff is set up. The New Age is set up to have a limitation, have a ceiling. Once you hit your head on that ceiling, it also has the ascended master Jesus. And the Bible is always there in and around that New Age community. So once you hit your head, if you are, done with the New Age community, then Christianity and the Bible is there to catch you. Same thing happens in the flat earth community. You hit your head on the flat earth world, then Christianity is also there. It's the firmament and all these YouTube channels putting it. The same thing's happening in the truther community. You hit your head on the linear amount of truther information, and boom, Christianity is right there to pick you up. So a lot of people say like, oh yeah, Christianity is being hit with all this attacks by the mainstream media. So that's a proof that people are saying that because Christianity is being attacked, that somehow is a truth. That Christianity is the best, or the Bible is the real religion, or the real book, and that Christianity is the real religion. And people have heard this before, but this goes back to what I was saying before. People are still trying to find a middle ground between good and evil. People who are all in the Christian storyline or the Bible storyline, they only want to focus on the good part of Christianity or the good part of the Bible. They don't want to see they don't want to really go into the depth, the dark side of how the Bible was used to enslave people back in actual physical slavery time frames and today. So that's why that's another middle ground truth, like another kind of like, oh well, this is kind of real, this is kind of a thing, but it's a trap. It's a double-edged or double-back trap. It's like, it sucks you in. It's like, yeah, knowing that you're gonna fail. The majority of people are gonna fail. They're gonna fail because the majority of their time needs to be spent providing for their family, their resources, so on and so forth. So they're not going to have the time to really go to any kind of depths of truth. They're only going to have enough time to go to a shallow distance of truth. So that shallow version of truth in the truther community is the same kind of thing that happens, or is that shallow truth that you get, or an illusory truth that you get in the New Age community with all the alien extraterrestrial stuff. You get all your information from some kind of Orion constellation or Pleiadian star system or Andromeda galaxy or something like that. Like, you are from there, all this comes from there. Like this is what I'm calling the broken healer syndrome. So the broken healer syndrome is not just like it's not limited just to the New Age community, but it's also very evident in the truther community. So it's the people who get all this information. Basically, it's the people who get all this. They heal themselves. They heal themselves from the chaos to a certain degree. To where they're not really too much affected by the chaos anymore. But they get to that point and then they stop, because they don't know that there's a whole nother world that they have to activate in order to not be subjected to that shit anymore, and also activate something that is going to add to their truth. It's more the non-linear truth. See, what people do is they get out of the non-linear, or they get out of the non-linear, or excuse me, they get out of the linear truth world. They get out of the linear lie world, and they think that's it. That's what the mainstream truther community is. Just because you leave a bunch of lies and you leave a bunch of bullshit, that is not the definition of truth. So what's happening is people are leaving this non-linear world, people are leaving this linear world, and simply because they left the linear world, they're in limbo now. They haven't gone to activating the non-linear world. They're just living in this other world. So they think the other world is the world, but the other world is not the world. The other world is a transitional world. The other world is a transitional world into you activating and amplifying the non-linear side of yourself. So your spiritual, your soul, your so on and so forth. Just because you leave a linear world, just because you leave a destructive and fucked up world, does not mean that you are awakened, evolved, conscious, woke, and all that other shit. But because people are so broken, so fucked up, they are suffering from such a Stockholm mentality. When they escape something, a lot of the times they can't really internally escape it. People have escaped on one level. Like, for example, physically, people have escaped a lot of this destruction. But internally, these people haven't escaped it. So this is what I'm saying is happening with the truther community's version of the broken healer syndrome. And it's obvious in the broken healer syndrome in the in the New Age community. Because basically the New Age community has made a business off of the broken healer type of world. And they make a business off of that by selling certain modalities, like they glorifying certain things. So they got to glorify crystal energy in order to sell you a crystal healing session. That's not to say that crystal energy doesn't exist. That's only to say that people who try to turn natural somethings or natural energy into a business, you're not dealing with organic anymore. You're taking away to a certain degree. But like I said, people are at certain level of consciousness, and they need certain approaches, they need certain tools, they need certain people. So a lot of these people need a lot of these healers that in many cases are broken. They can still help. They are still a healer. You got to break that down. It's still a healer, but so they can do something. They can heal you to some degree, but like that's the whole point. To what degree? So that degree is what I'm saying is what's limited to the same degree of these timelines. You can only be healed by a healer based upon the timeline that they themselves have healed themselves. This is what I'm saying. Keep that in mind. If you're dealing with any of these healers, and that's what I say, if you only need healing at that certain time based upon healing and somebody else who's still a broken healer, and they have healed what you have healed, but they still got other shit to heal, they can help you heal. Because they've already done something that you haven't done yet. So this is why I'm saying that broken healer thing is still kind of like a needed thing. But my point with this whole video is to tell you the downsides of this. The downsides are, and it's easy to see, the downsides are what happens. What happens is it turns into a thing. So that broken healer is a good thing for a certain amount of time. But you have to, in order to heal beyond the limitations of a broken healer, you have to leave that community. You have to leave that mechanism. You have to leave that tool for whatever the next learning experience or another tool is. Whatever it is, until you release all these tools. That's the thing. truth and all this other stuff is not about a lot of information. It's about like clearing a lot of the information. So you can read all these books, but in my experiences, the deeper truths come from, you read a lot of books, you read a lot of information, yeah, but is that the truth? No, those are just the subcategories of the main truth, the intentional truth, the core truth. That information is valid. It's definitely valid. But all of those truths, when you shrink it down to being able to explain it to a 3-year-old, that's when you have the real essence of that truth. The rest is truth. Yes, it's true, obviously, but it's true for a certain thing. It's true in reaction to a lot of the times. It's true in comparison to. It's true with some kind of addendum to it. The real truth comes when you get all this information and you don't need it anymore. You can access it to share examples with people. Don't throw it away. But people who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. When you get to this information, you don't need it anymore, because you know what you can shrink all that information down to what that's really saying, what that really means on the macro scale. On the micro scale, the intricacies of all those micro truths are very relevant based upon whatever it is that you're approaching in the micro world. But the real truth, like the depths of the truth, the collective truth that's in all of those micro truths, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. And a lot of people think that, and when they get into these new age approaches, they think they create their own versions of simple truths. They create a fake simple truth. So a fake simple truth is we're all one. Yeah, okay. Is that true? Yeah, obviously it's true for like people on a soul, a non-physical level, so on and so forth. But is that all true? No. Is there a reason why there's so many of us? So different things, like what's that's true. So there's truth in the reasons why we are also different. See, that's the proof of why the we're all one truth is not a complete whole truth. It's a partition, like a piece of a truth. It's a little crumb of a truth. But if you package that crumb of a truth in an entire universe, if you package that crumb of a truth, if you build an entire community around that crumb of truth, now you got an entire world. You created an entire layer of consciousness that people will go gladly. They will walk into that world and they will regurgitate that truth and, in a sense, expand that universe that you created. They will grow your world around that core that you created. And that core, mind you, keep in mind, that core is only a partial truth. And then generations upon generations upon generations go by, and then you got people saying, well, the reasons why I am not, happy about being an American or have any pride in my country is because of all these military industrial complex wars and da-da-da. First of all, you're taking ownership off of stolen land. You're nationalizing everything, and what fucking timeline are you talking about? You're gonna say, in order for them to talk about pride in this nation when they're talking about politics, they have to be willfully ignorant of that which predates the Columbian storyline. Willfully ignorant of that which predates this pretty much Eurocentric colonial consciousness. This timeline that is a simulated timeline created, and anybody who's and this is the thing. This is why I said it's not completely based upon race. It's just the majority of people who are so bombarded by this synthetic timeline happen to be white, because they're the ones who have been completely uprooted. It's not a personal thing. It's an obvious obvious observation that You people who your ancestors were just fucking came over here and were a part of another war, part of a war that you weren't even aware of, a lot of you, and then eventually you were aware of it. There were many generations of people before our generations today who were aware of that war and were going along with it just fine. And they are the ones who are in the White House today, loving the way things are today. They're a part of a war. They have no fucking world. They have no land. They have no history. They have no origins. They have nothing of any kind of solid roots. So when you tell them that their political Colombian, post-Columbian empire is an entire illusion, you're telling them that they basically don't exist. That is telling people that they don't exist. And then, so if somebody, even if a computer program was told by an authority that they don't exist, that computer program is going to short circuit and it's going to default to whatever is comfortable for them. So whatever is comfortable for the people who have been short circuited is what? It's this fake conspiracy, half-assed truth. For others, it's the mainstream Donald Trump politics. Others, it's the Bernie Sanders politics. Others, it's the reptilian David Icke shit, whatever it is. It's everything about, it's all linear, empty, just kind of like this whatever ass truth. Yeah, here's another whatever ass truth. Oh, these motherfuckers been lying to us forever. Oh, what's the next whatever ass truth today? No people, I'm not going to say no people. The majority of people in the truth community don't have any activated real truth. All of it is some whatever ass truth. That's it. So a lot of this whatever ass truth is also some whatever ass healing that happens with these broken healers in this broken healer syndrome. So whatever ass truth is still truth. Just like I said, broken healer is still a healer to some degree. Broken ass truth is still truth to some degree. So broken truth can create a core and people can create something around it. Hence InfoWars and Alex Jones and so on and so forth. Mark Dice and all these other people who are out there. You create one little thing, one little focus. That's why I said Alex Jones is actually one of the only real truthers out there to a certain to whatever degree, because he's actually putting out there what his intentions are. None of these YouTube truthers out there are saying anything. No, none of these flat earthers, none of these Mandela effect, none of them. They're all talking about whatever ass truth. They ain't got no intention behind it. Alex Jones is to whatever, I can't stand that motherfucker to any kind of degree, but I do respect the fact that he knowing I can't even like allow myself to even say this shit. I respect the fact that anybody, I'm not gonna say him because he's obviously a puppet being utilized to sell a particular thing. The thing is that the reason why he's so effective in selling what he is selling is because he does have that intention there. His intention is revolt to the simulated timeline. Resort back to the post-Columbian, Eurocentric minded timeline. That is his intention. So in that intention in a world of no intention is fucking wonderful. It's beautiful. People are going to gravitate towards that shit. And when you sprinkle in truth and like shock factor and all kinds of shit, man, you got yourself you got yourself like a perfect storm of information, attention or something like that. So that's what Alex Jones represents, but that's because he has that intention there. And he's been amplified by the mainstream media on purpose to amplify that intention subconsciously. Alex Jones expands the intention of what Trump represents, but Alex Jones gives Trump credibility. This is how it works in your subconscious, because consciously they're not connected. They don't, like, they've done one video, but you don't see Alex Jones walking around in the White House. No, they claim like it's two different worlds, two different storylines, two different timelines. It's not. It's one solid timeline. The simulated fucking timeline that they have people thinking that you can have this half-ass truth, this half-ass healing, this half-ass understanding and overstanding of what's going on. So in this broken healing, I'm gonna read this to close this out, because I thought this was gonna be short. What we had on time? Shit, we already had a fucking hour already. I was gonna stop it at like 20 minutes, but anyway. This is just some stuff I wrote down. Broken healer syndrome, externalizing. So broken healer syndrome, it has to externalize everything. It has to externalize the reality. So this is like the crystal healing, the Reiki, and all this other stuff. Like I said, I'm not saying this stuff is fake, what I'm saying, or it doesn't exist. I'm saying that it has its limitations. It's good up to a certain degree. It's not something to build an entire interpretation of reality around, which is what the New Age, New World Order is attempting to do. This is what this all boils down to. There's no separation. This is what I'm saying is going to happen when the New Age or the flat Earth gets co-opted, or the New Age, and this is already what's happening. They're going to combine everything. The truther community is going to combine with the New Age community, which is already happening right now with the Me Too movement and Oprah's, Eckhart Tolle, Tony Robbins, Super Soul Sunday spirituality sort of shit. So you have that's in the mainstream media. So you have the combining of the truther community, the combining of the flat Earth community, or the parts of the flat Earth community who are still in that timeline of not knowing where to put any of this shit. They just only want to focus on what the mainstream media is doing and just be okay with whatever happens there, because they're not really about revolution. They're only about just like being the headpieces for the word getting out. That's all. That's it. They don't have anything behind it. There's no energy. There's nothing behind it. It's just, hey, we just want to be the headpiece, and we think that this is the answers to the world. Hey, we did a good job. See, that's the thing. That's the ignorant sort of. That's the arrogant, ignorant, and it's a word sort of not childish, but fuck. Simple ass words I be forgetting sometime. Not between childish and innocent, but more kind of like. Anyway, so people will know what I'm talking about. We're naive to many. Naive to there's another word for it, but naive to many degrees. Naive in a sense that, yeah, they're the headpieces, but they don't realize that they're the headpieces for the head of the beast. They're the headpieces. They're giving their pre-packaging. They're packaging flat Earth in a Lunchables basket or box, lunchbox for the most evil motherfuckers out there, for the fucking system itself that created the fucking lie. So what is there an in between? No, there is no fucking in between. Politics itself, the colonial political system, capitalism, democracy, all existing on top of the blood and the bones of the indigenous people, that's a fucking illusion. There is no in-between. There's no first class, second class, third class citizens. This shit's all been fucking made up. There is no in-between good and evil. But these mouthpieces that are the headpieces for flat Earth, and the mouthpieces for the political, capitalistic, so-called democratic, post-Columbian society, they humanize, they normalize that in-between timeline, that simulated timeline. So you instead of going to a deeper truth, you tap in to only the truth that is promoted by that system. You're tapped in only to the truth. You're tapped into pre-approved truth. That's what it is. Pre-approved truth. This pre-approved truth has been turned into a business. And in that pre-approved truth, since it's not going to the depths of truth, you need broken healers to sell pre-approved truth, half truth. Half truth can only be sold by half truthers. Half healing can only be sold or healed by half or broken healers. So this is the core of what's happening with all of the distractions. So we know of the distraction. That was what I was saying in the majority of these videos. But my last video is explaining the distraction world. This is too, but the mechanism of it is an entirely different story. The activation, the movement, like how it's rolled out. How is this half-truth rolled out? How is this, how are these distractions rolled out? That's a whole nother thing, because the distractions are obviously like the different mechanisms that are out there. So that's a whole nother world to interpret. So I just want to read this real quick before I close this out. Where are we at now? Okay, cool. So externalizing. So broken healer syndrome is just like, it's the polar opposite, but it's one and the same. It's one and the same because it exists in the same timeline, in the same universe as the mainstream media. Broken healers are externalizing everything. So just like the politicians have to externalize what's going on in the world, or how like patriotism has to, or the war on terrorism has to attack the entire world and say, oh yeah, the problem's over there. No, the problem's in your own fucking head. You are living in a fake fucking timeline, and you're trying to destroy the rest of the world to look benevolent. You're trying to demonize the rest of the world to look like the fucking good guys. This is what happened to the original people of this land. And this is why your real truth, your real change is not going to happen until that's acknowledged. And this is why Alex Jones is out there, to keep you from acknowledging that truth, to keep you externalizing everything, to keep you from recognizing and activating the realization that they have no authority to speak on truth. They have no authority to say anything. None of these fucking people. A lot of these fucking truthers too. That's what pissed me off about that video this morning. I'm like, oh, you know what makes me feel so kind of bad about being an American and a lot of these wars that are going on in the military industrial complex. You talking about a 400, 200, 300, 400-year-old fucking truth. At best. The majority of the truth that you just said, which is the so-called problems of the world, that shit starts fucking 100 years ago. You ain't mentioned a fucking word about the blood and the bones underneath the White House itself. And these fake simulated as artificial intelligence minded as robots that can only go as far. This is the limitation. This is what's happening. And I'm leaning more and more towards this every single day. A lot of these people, either they did it or they did it themselves, like through their own de-evolution of consciousness, or it's still a possibility that a lot of these people are born. They are born with limitations of consciousness. Is that possible? Fuck yeah. That seems way possible to me. People born with limitations of consciousness, so that means that they're born with limitations of truth. Now I said, is it impossible? Of course not. But on the whole, are there people born with limitations? Oh, hell yeah. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to go through life and they're not even going to fucking look at, a quarter of the shit that they could have done if they, had more capabilities or whatever, or been more qualified in whatever kind of way. But they can't. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's a part of their experience. Maybe they had enough experiences to gain a lot of that, to experience a lot of that consciousness. So maybe their experience only allows them to inhabit so much truth. Maybe their past life experiences is a soul experience, expression, whatever frequency only allows them to experience so much healing. so much realization, so much consciousness, whatever. I don't know. That seems like a reality, just as a general sort of theme as of now. Point is, that world, if it were true, which seems kind of true, that world has been manipulated to keep people at a certain vibration, at a certain frequency, intellectually, spiritually, psychologically, and physically, in order to control them. And this new world, new age, truther community versions of it is the most dangerous one out there. I'm telling you this, I've been saying for so long. Excuse me. Been saying this for so long, and it stands. It stands to this. In 2018, and all the way from the first 3 years, talking about truth and all this other stuff, this is the most dangerous shit I observe out there. So, like I said, externalizing, it's escaping. So, like I said, the people who are escaping or leaving the world of lies and destruction and all that other stuff. Just because you escape a destructive world doesn't mean that you've jumped into the world of truth. You've just left a fucked up situation. Could you have left a fucked up situation and jumped into another fucked up situation? Of course you could have. Could you have jumped into a more fucked up situation that feels great and amazing, but in the long run could be a more fucked up situation? Of course that's possible. So that's what's happening that's what I'm seeing is happening with a lot of people. So that's how the system is playing off the escape trigger mechanism and the escape transition that people are going on to. There's a trap at every corner, at every turn, there's a trap. So this is the aliens. The escape mechanisms are in the New Age community, like the alien extraterrestrial escape mechanism. Oh, I don't think about race and all this other stuff. I'm a star child I'm an indigo child from the star system of the Andromeda galaxy, and I have hybrid children. I see them in dreams sometimes, and I listen to channeling messages from certain channeled messages I believe are benevolent from, these are all belief systems that's from some kind of star system, past and future lives. So people talk about all the time. This is another escape mechanism, and they never get into it. It's always this kind of like, and this is the thing with past and future lives, or mostly past lives. People use past lives like a fucking like it's a resume or something. In a past life, I was in India. I was this and doing all this, and I was eaten by it. I was doing all this shit. Whatever. So there's all these things, and another prideful type of the past life thing is this is one that you hear all the time in the New Age community. In past life, we were the ones who were burned at the stake in the Salem witch trials and all that other. Every fucking New Age person was a fucking witch who was burned back in the days by the cabal. We just came back together to work together to save the world this time. And how are we going to do it? With Reiki and crystal healing, and that's it. What the fuck? So they pride themselves in that sort of past life, which is just another escapism sort of thing. So let's say that is true. They had a past life where they were some kind of spiritual healer or shaman or something like that. Okay, let's say that's true. Well, what the fuck point is it? What good is it here now? What good is it now? Well, it's a confirmation that you're on the right track for doing what you're doing, but that's it. It's nothing more than that. But people use this, they take that and they expand upon, they glorify it, they go deep into it until it becomes this giant sort of thing. And that thing is very counterproductive over time, because what happens is people are, instead of expanding in a 360 degree version of change, they're on another linear path. So they see their past life and then they start walking a path towards that past life. Like, and maybe this life was, for something completely different. Maybe they're supposed to walk towards that past life for something else to a certain degree. But this is the thing, as I said, you hit that, you got to get the message. If you don't get the message, that's when you're going to start to work against yourself. That's when you're going to start to create these worlds that are not necessarily good for, they start to work against you. So the savior programs is another sort of broken healer syndrome that's big, and kind of like obviously the Jesus savior program, mainstream religions waiting on, instead of in the new age, instead of waiting on Jesus, they're waiting on extraterrestrials, UFOs to reveal themselves. So they go out in mountains and take their telescopes and they shine flashlights in the sky and lasers in the sky to try to contact these fucking aliens. Hey, somebody from the fucking sky, listen to me already, because nobody here listens to anything. So they go out shooting fucking lasers and flashlights in the sky, waiting for a big ass flash to come out of the sky, and then they go home feeling all great because they saw a flash of light in the sky. How fucking empty is that? That's the most empty ass so-called truth and connection that I've ever seen. Like that, it's ridiculous. Like it's materializing. Let's say you are getting some kind of message back from what if it's not a fucking metal UFO ship or any kind of alien anything? What if it's like your ancestors? Or what if it's you? Or what if it's like part of you? Like what if it's, something completely different and wonderful and beautiful that you don't even fucking know? It ain't got nothing to do with aliens and extraterrestrials. It's got something to do with you and your relationship to this experience. What if that's the case? But no, you took all of that and turned it into an Area 51 sort of benevolent alien sphere being alliance bird people sort of fucking thing, and they're letting us know, they're sending us signals in the sky to let us know that they're gonna soon enough they're gonna take over the bad aliens. The good aliens in the space are going to take over the bad aliens, just like the good politicians are going to in the colonial world are going to take over the bad politicians, and then we're going to have a great wonderful world. Yeah, keep living in that fucking illusion. But people are willfully ignorantly living in that world because they don't. There's so much access to so much truth that you have so many different ways to escape your own inner work. All this information out there, all this fucked up work, all these broken ass systems and broken ass people that's out there to focus on, you don't have to actually do anything. Your job is done. If you spend 5 hours of your fucking day focusing all on how fucked up everything is, yeah, you did a great job. But are you doing any inner work? See, this is what's happening, like when I said about that channel of the guy I just put on before I started talking. That's kind of like how I'm seeing his channel. He spends all of his work, all of that energy, it's focused, the majority of it is on what? It's on focusing on the alchemy of these evil sorcerers. And even in their own sorcery world, like if they start doing anything good in the sorcery world, they think that's positive change. Like Trump pulling out of Syria? The fuck? Obviously that's a good thing. But what the fuck? How the fuck, if you say Trump pulling out of Syria and you end it, and it's a great thing, and you end it on that, then your entire reality of good things is based upon the political scheme, the mainstream reality. If you say that without also saying, yeah, and this is just a microcosm to the macrocosm of this entire empire existing, without acknowledging the plight of the indigenous people to which this entire empire was created. That's the original fucked up reason why you can't call yourself, or you feel bad about calling yourself an American. That's the original reason why. The original reason why is not because of the military industrial complex and George Bush and Reagan and Obama and all these people went to the fucking wars and all this stuff. Ain't got shit to do with that. The original reason why you don't feel comfortable with calling yourself an American and you don't feel comfortable with this nation is because this nation is sitting on warm blood. The warm, still warm fucking blood of the indigenous people. And these so-called truthers don't have a fucking word to say about it. The only words that they say are the words of distraction that are regurgitated from the programs of distraction that come out from the original people who started fucking with your mind in the first place. Excuse me. So what happens when these broken healers get into this space? What happens is that when they start to create that community or that world around that broken core, they start to create like pride around themselves. So they start to put like a superhero cape on that like breaded broken core, that community, that deep fried broken core. They put like whipped cream and you know, chocolate syrup and sprinkles and all kinds of shit. They turn that broken core piece of shit into a broken core banana split, like a big ass giant banana split, and they cover it. And what happens is once they created that entire banana split worth of like linear truth around a broken core, they take a pride in it and say like, oh, I'm at this level and maybe I've just evolved past you and then you're that. So this is how it gets personalized. And this exists in personal relationships too. So not only in kind of like their work, but, and I've seen this firsthand, people have told me like, like they've gone, and a lot of the times these broken healers, they go into a lot of the times they are thrusted into that so-called healer world because they have themselves recovered from some kind of deep trauma. So they've thrusted themselves into this healer world in order to go to the depths of healing themselves. And many of them have, but at the same time, just like they distract them or people distract themselves with all the storylines, people can get distracted with their own healing. So if you jump backwards in a sense or are forced backwards with a sort of trauma, and then you work your way all the way back to where you just were, you don't realize that you are just where you just were because the trauma kicked you back. So people work their way back from that trauma. They end up to where they just were. And they think inside, because time has passed, and now that they're not where they were, that they're now somewhere different. They're not. They're only in the place where they were before the trauma, just from a higher frequency. But that higher frequency hasn't been activated beyond the space of where they were before they had the trauma. And that takes work that happens after healing from the trauma. And this is what the system is trying to do to keep us from doing before we can move forward. You can't have any real revolution until people have healed enough to get the power and the energy enough to revolt to the depths of the space of where this place needs to be revolted against from. So like, this is why you're distracted so much. And this is why you're simultaneously also, you're not only distracted, you're more so filled with pride. It's probably like 70-30. You're like 30% distracted in mainstream media, truth or conspiracy community. But 70% of it is pride. I'd actually say 80 pushing 90%. Between 70, 80, 90, 90, 10, 80, 20, 70, 30, whatever it is, the majority is not distraction. The majority is pride. Pride in a half-assed, in whatever it is that you're researching. Pride in that half-assed truth. The rest is distraction. So by getting that half-ass truth, getting all that information, that's the pride. That's what gets activated inside you. We don't see it that way though. And that's where this whole in between good and evil truth and community, truth or community world exists. That's where you can have that. And same thing goes with the new age community too. They have that in between space. So let's see. What else? Use your and same thing happens with like the promotion of older people. Like so just like they promote celebrities to speak on things about politics or whatever, they're not fucking equal. They're just people you trust to hear something. So they're just using these people to get you to trust something, whatever that something is. A something is what's important, not the fucking person or even what they're telling you. It's a something behind the something they're talking about. But when you're so focused on the celebrity talking about that something, most people ain't gonna get out of that shit. The same thing happens with old people. So when they put Kanye in Trump's office, who else did they put there? Jim Brown. Jim Brown didn't say shit, most of it. He was only there to represent a not ignorant, young, melanated man. He was supposed to represent like an elder melanated man. Like, and he's from the old civil rights. So this is all, excuse me. This is all to... This is all to, like I said, build up the idea that this entire empire has any legs to stand on. So they got you focusing on people who are not wise. They're not elders. They're just eld. This is the thing. People can be eld, but you ain't no elder. You know what I mean when I say that? It's like you can be old, but you can't be wise. So you got this old ass empire. That's it. It's just old. And old in the sense that it's not even old. It's actually kind of young. But in comparison to our ancient civilizations, or in comparison to like the way people have a relationship with time today, it's old. Like it's like a few hundred years. So it's kind of old now. But it's not wise. You ain't get no wisdom from heliocentrism. You ain't got no wisdom from the university system. You ain't got no wisdom from the public education system. No wisdom from colonialism, politics, the capitalism, democracy. You get no fucking wisdom from anything in this post-Columbian era, period. All of it is illusion. None of it. It's just old. So they promote old people. They don't promote wise people. They know, so they get everybody out there. So then they talk about these old people, and even if they get old, people dying so quickly, you can't even get them to get old to have any kind of wisdom. And even the young ones with any kind of wisdom, what do? They're censored, they're demonized, they're pushed in the corner, they're, whatever it is, distracted from, so on and so forth. So, yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Mainstream media plays it. Science goes against it. Okay, so they're also promoting this sort of emptiness, like I said, in the game, like the red and the blue in the boxing match, how that represents politicians and so on and so forth, control of the land. And that you're giving that approval because it's the gangsters. If you give your disapproval, they're going to fuck you up. So people are existing in fear right now. So they play the red and the blue game with science and mainstream religion. And I didn't finish the conversation. I think I wrote it down here too about the whole. Yeah, I'll get there in a second. So science goes against it, but we know it's all about it. So mainstream media. So yeah, the mainstream media plays like it's going against Christianity, but what is the main religion of the security guards, the superpower of the empire? It's Christianity. It's the Bible. So they're not really against it. For people who say that, why does the cabal go against? No, they're not going against it. They're going against the science version of Christianity so that they can they're only kind of fake play fighting against Christianity so they can activate the new age Christianity for the new age new world order. That's what they're doing right now, because the new version of Christianity is going to have a relationship with science through quantum physics, quantum mechanics, the simulation theory, and so on and so forth. So the and I know people understand where I'm coming from when I say this, when they say that fight between science, and they put Bill Nye against that other guy who's from the church or whatever, talk about evolution. That's all a fucking play fight. It's a play fight to get you thinking about your origin story. Because once you get to thinking about before they can implant the mind control, they have to first get you thinking of it. So everything, the truth community, the flat earth community, simulation theory, all this shit, all this linear truth, this is all to get you thinking about everything. Because since they are still the authority of your truth, the authority of your reality, the authority of everything that you hold near and dear to you, since they are the authority of your own thought process, once they say, okay, this is what such and such and such and such means, you believe it because you've already been preconditioned. That truth has been pre-approved by your pre-approval truthers. So they get your half-assed truthers, they pick and choose what they want from the internet, from YouTube, and then they sell it to the masses, and boom, you got your next mind control. So they play fight in order to make it look like something's different. Science is different from the church. The state is different from, religion, and so on and so forth. It's not. It's one game. The spiritual warfare that's being used against the people is the same game as the psychological and physical war used against the people, and vice versa. It's the same thing. Same game. So there ain't no difference. So if they telling you about what you gotta know that they're all about it. They're gonna use it in some kind of way. So the new age, let's see, I think I shared this part of it. It falls. Yeah, it fails. So this is where it catches everybody. Let me read this. I forgot. I'll end it on this note so you guys can know where I'm coming from. I'm glad I'll end it on that note. So you can know I'm not just talking shit, because a lot of people really don't know about the new age and how deep this shit is. But this shit goes deep. I'll end it on that. Science does this, atheism, flat earth, demonizing, ancient spirituality, new age, gurus, following the external. Yeah, so it's still external, everything. So, okay, I'll go ahead and play that because that's a good thing to end on too. Play that. I'm going to read it back so you can hear it. I was going to do a whole video based upon this, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to get through that, excuse me, this whole thing without, maybe I will do it. Like, I'll do it in front of a green screen or something like that. I'll read the whole thing. Where the hell is this thing at? So this is an email. This is an email that I get from a new age sort of what is it? A new age community sort of whatever, the email list or something like that, that I used to be connected to. I can't remember what I put my email on there for, but I'll put a image. I'll put the image of what I'm looking at at the end of this. I'll do a screenshot right now so you can see it. So actually, let me do it this way. So this shit is hilarious. So this is an email from some kind of new age. People know what I'm talking about. Some kind of new age group. It's got you can see the Metatron's cube, dolphin swimming or flying in space, pyramid in like a portal sort of Atlantis pyramids, 3 pyramids to like mimic like the Orion constellation. And then you got the Sphinx in there, and then your chakras, the humpback whale. You got the bull symbolism, yin yang, the temple, kind of like the Nepal temple. You got the earth in there, some other kind of planet, some kind of the natural mother. So I guess like the mother goddess in the middle, the dove, peace dove in there. What else is there? Crystals all over the place. There's a crown on the top of, what is that? That's like a that's another. There's all kinds of little things back here in the back that I'm looking at. But it's basically a picture of every single, excuse me, every single new age sort of connection in here. It's like aliens, Saturn symbolism, so on and so forth, sacred geometry, flower of life, blah, 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 blah. So they got all this stuff on here, and all these things have to exist for you to just be like, oh, I love this. Like this is my kind of energy sort of, thing. Higher chakras, here's a 7, and boom, into the higher, into the pyramid in front of the Sphinx and all kind of. Oh, there's a fairy. I didn't even see some fairies around. So you know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of stuff. This is the email from Love Has Won Charitable Campaigns for the New Earth. So I'll read a couple of paragraphs so you can get to know what I'm talking about. Okay, hold on a second. I gotta get like prepared for this. So keep in mind, reason why it's looking like I'm harping on a lot of this stuff. I'm not harping on this. This is real. This has been going on for some years. I was talking about the new age deception and all this bullshit, this fake truth since before flat earth. This was my main thing before flat earth. Excuse me. Was this talking, like unveiling how fucked up this shit is. So Love Has Won charitable campaigns for the new earth. Keep in mind, this is written in the same voice for people who know like the channeler Cryon. I use that example because Cryon is a new age so-called channeler, but he's not just a regular new age channeler. He has also been invited to the United Nations over 7 times, and a new age channeler has spoken at the United Nations more than 7 times. This is why I'm saying you have to keep in mind this fake truth and this whole agenda is being used to usher in this new reality, this fake reality within this simulated perspective reality. Like I said, even all this shit, this still exists. All this flowery sort of dolphins in the sky, flying with star systems and fairies and chakras and the Sphinx and portals and sacred geometry and yin yangs and temples and all this shit. All of that still exists on the blood and the bones of the indigenous people. Even these new agers who are talking about their enlightening and waking and all that other shit, they still haven't said, they don't have any words to say about that truth. They only have prescription drugs to say about that. And that's the most fucked up shit because you still have people alive today having to deal with this shit. While they're running around floating on fairy dust thinking that they're the king shit of the world. Total fucking lies and illusions. So, Cryon, speaking at the United Nations, this is the type of shit that Cryon speaks about. And so keep in mind, this is the type of shit that was spoken at the United Nations. You have to ask yourself, what the fuck is going on here? Greetings, dear ones. Don't laugh. All right. The ascension of this planet is underway. And the times we are in now cannot be fathomed. Mother Earth is physically incarnated. God is physically incarnated. This is her planet, her body, as all in creation comes from Source. Once humanity ascends, only love and light will exist. Earth will once again be the Garden of Eden. Why wouldn't God come down here to champion this mission? Her vessel is the divine vehicle through which all higher consciousness energies are entering through. And we are moving from the old 3D paradigm of taking into ceaseless giving. God is here, and we are the first contact ground crew team supporting her and the ascension. From the moment I met Mother, my angels were cheering and my body was vibrating and lighting up. I had no idea why. Having no awareness of lovehasone.org or even that God could and had physically incarnated, I knew I was experiencing something beyond expression. Since that point, the full story beyond the illusion has unfolded. Voluntary amnesia has been dissolved and returned to oneness attained. Thank you, Mother! All caps, exclamation point. When a child gives to God rather than takes, that manifests back 100 times in magical miracles and abundance. All of creation works under the will of the divine. Humanity exists outside of the divine will. In free will and giving to God represents a willingness to return to source, which is why you came here. Mother, along with the greatest warriors in all of creation, you came down to break out of our deep taking and deep illusionary matrix. And she did. She broke out of the matrix. Now it is up to humanity to choose to walk out of the conditioning to ascend, all caps. The ascension occurs within us through, all caps, our choosing to embody our highest self always in divine frequency. We have initiated these campaigns as guided by the Galactic Federation of Light, as the all caps absolute highest way to support full realization of the new earth energies. The Cabal or Illuminati now only exists in the form of our lower thoughts, words, and actions. And so aligning yourself with the highest in all of creation will manifest the highest in your timeline. There's your simulation. We manifest our simulated reality, bullshitters out there. The vibration of the planet is so high now, all lower frequencies are being triggered. Being, B-E in all caps, being triggered. Universal law is in effect, meaning that we attract like for like experience through vibration. Those in anger and aggression attract anger and aggression, whilst those in love everywhere attract exactly that. Present. We are beyond grateful for all support extended to our Divine Mother, our Creator. For we know from a macro perspective what this represents. All action we undertake is divinely guided, for we have fully surrendered free will and operate in the highest timeline for all creation. Our projects and causes are for the absolute highest for the planet, humanity, and creation. This is humanity's chance to step up and show how grateful they are for what Mother has done and participate in the co-creation of New Earth, the free will experiment that led to the complete imbalance and destruction both within and without is over for all of those who choose to re-enter the light in permanent embodiment. We are the change we have been waiting for! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Incarnated here to be in love action, all caps, in every moment, in full integrity, to assist humanity in raising the consciousness to that of unity, of love everywhere present. Support your Creator. Return. Find out more about our charities, which include the creation of crystal schools for rainbow children, support for our Mother Earth, and more within the links below. We are so grateful for all the continued support for our sites, projects, causes, and so much more. Give and share from the heart. Donate Donate with PayPal, donate with Venmo. Learn more of our Love Has Won charitable campaigns. So I ended up reading the whole thing, which was good. So you can get a good, I thought it was going to be longer, but yeah. So that's basically what the New Age mentality is selling. This is the New Age, New World Order. And you can hear slivers of the truth community. You can hear slivers of the flat earth community, the unity. We're all one. We just need to unite. Everything, race doesn't matter, all the same. This is what I'm saying. This is what you're protecting. This is what you're working towards with your half-ass, not researching ass truth. This is what you're working to, you're moving towards. And because people only, see what happens is how this can work is because you have people who, once they get in one modality, they don't get out of that. So you don't have the New Agers who the truthers are largely not aware of the New Agers. And a lot of the New Agers are not aware of the truth information or them because they have to stay in their own world in order to validate their own experience. If they go into another world, it starts to invalidate their own experience and starts to make their world or their universe unstable. So since these worlds don't communicate with each other, that's how you can have the entire world be enslaved, thinking that they are awakened and woke and, enlightened and all that other shit. But they don't communicate with each other. They don't make these connections because, people in the truth community. And this is why they want to talk about a lot of the race stuff because they haven't gone into what the truth of the black conscious community is. See, the black conscious community is another truth community. But see, truthers in the truther community, this is a proof, and I'll end it on this. This is why your truth is bullshit. Your truth in the truther community is bullshit because you have an entire fucking community that's only called the black conscious community. It's not called the black truth community. This is the thing. It is the so-called black truth community. We know black doesn't matter and all that other shit doesn't matter, but it is a stream of consciousness that exists. It is a group of people that exists. It is a truth that exists. So these people on the internet talking about truth, they're talking about Eurocentric post-Columbian truth. It's the same kind of truth that gets promoted by the mainstream media. It's like BET truth versus mainstream media truth. That's what's going on right now. It's still fucked up, half-ass, not even real-ass truth. So you have BET truth and you have mainstream media, like non-mainstream, mainstream media truth. And those are the ones who call themselves truthers. And this is why your truther in that truther community in that world is full of shit. Because you have an entire truther community. It's smaller, it's focused, yes, but is it filled with a lot of fucking truth that is very relevant? Of course it is. Huge truths are to be found in the black, so-called black conscious, which is actually a so-called black truth community that the so-called white truth community doesn't even acknowledge, doesn't care, stays far away from, yet they still call themselves the truth community. That's why your truther community is full of shit. That's why any of these little groups and labels that you get behind and all this other stuff, and they get all fucking. The reason why all this stuff is still standing on any kind of legs is because they it's that pride. It's that they think they got all the answers. They think because they think about the simulation theory and all this other stuff, they think they got the fucking answers of the world. They literally say, the quantum of conscious dude says, this is what I think are the answers of the fucking world. Basically, I'm like paraphrasing, but that's basically what he's saying. And that's what these truthers are saying. This is what Alex Jones is saying. Alex Jones got the answers for the problems of the world. And they ain't no different from these truthers out here. The simulated theory pumped it by these quantum assholes out here, just, it's the same shit. They just get arrogant, and angry, and emotional and prideful when their truth gets challenged. So they get pissy. Oh, I'm being attacked online. We're all talking about truth. Stop being a little emotional bitch and talk about the actual point that I'm making. We're talking about general fucking... You're generalizing yourself as a truther. You generalize yourself as a truther, you're going to get fucking smacked around because there ain't a fucking one truth out there. You saying you got the answers for all the fucking questions of get the fuck out of here. And by no means am I trying to stop people from thinking and going to all that. I'm trying to get people to be more aware of the arrogance and the ignorant bullshit that people attach to these sort of these awarenesses, this information. That's the real fucking problem. Because once you attach it to that, that's when you start creating a community around a broken core. And you start selling those pebbles of broken cores, deep fried and breaded in destruction. Breaded and deep fried in half truth, you're gonna get sick. And some fucked up oil, deep fried in canola oil, deep fried, bleached, floured, broken core truth, deep fried in shitty ass canola oil, like drizzled with some Hidden Valley Ranch dressing. That's what the fuck the truth community is today. And these fake ass kind of truthers out there getting butthurt because somebody else called them on their shit. Get the fuck out of here with all that bullshit. On that note, I'll leave it there. I didn't mean to go that far, but I didn't think I was gonna combine these two videos. The one video was just the one that I wanted to that I shared earlier about, that pockets of future, that kind of approach to truth. But this is I didn't even realize. I didn't think I was gonna go in there. It was needed. This was my next video. I thought I was gonna do a shorter one, but oh well. One of these days, I'll start doing short. I think I'm gonna start doing shorter videos when I don't have anything to talk about. Like I don't have like a whole bunch of things to talk about already. I'll just have like 3 different topics, or one topic. Since I talk about 3 different angles, or like I take 3 different like back azimuths to get to like find out where we are, what we're talking about. It takes like an average of like an hour and a half, something like that. So, yeah, this is what happens. I'll think about now. I've never mathematically broken it down like that, so I'll focus on one topic and how it relates to one other thing, and I might be able to get out like 20 minutes or something like that. I did break my fast recently. I made it 15 days. Feel amazing. I'll explain more about what was going on with that. 15 was more than enough for me to get what I needed. Like I said, I've been intermittent fasting for a while. And that helped out a lot with, clearing out a lot of the shit before it became a problem. Plus, I've been eating healthy to a degree for a while now. So, yeah, I'll let you know. That'll probably be my next video. I don't know when I'll do it, but I'll do it sometime here soon. But thank you for the support. Thank you for the people who stick around and keep supporting this channel regardless of YouTube censoring and all that other stuff. YouTube recently removed 30 subscribers from my channel, and like one like push of a button. And then they sent me a note saying that they were removing spam from these channels. So, but that's just some distractive ass bullshit from what they're really doing. There's no way in hell this channel should be hovering around 12,000 with the amount of 12,000 subscribers, with the amount of content that is produced and the the what you call it, compared to what it was before, it's obvious. I'm not tripping on it. People know that it's a thing, but we're just gonna keep on it, and maybe one of these days I'll compile a lot of the information about that, and put some kind of like comprehensive analysis of what YouTube is really doing to these YouTube channels, because it's really fucked up. Like I was getting an average of I'd go to sleep one morning or one night and wake up in the morning with an average for some days of plus 20, 30, sometimes like 80 subscribers overnight. There was a time in the beginning of like the Flat Earth talk, and even after that, it stayed steady for a while. Now now's with the same kind of like video, production timing schedule as today too. Probably even more so now than it was back then, I think. But it is going on. Like I said, we got to work with what we got. This is just their platform. They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do with it. So, for any people who are taking pride in this YouTube shit because of numbers or whatever, don't even go there, because that shit don't even matter. It's all a big illusion. It's an illusion to amplify the people that they need, who are going to speak the system, who are going to speak the words that are going to be spoken, that need to be spoken for the next agenda. That's what YouTube is doing with the subscription game, the YouTube views game, the trending page game, the social media game. All of this is being used over time to make it look like the information that they're getting ready to sell to the masses is organic. They're selling all this information through YouTube subscribers and YouTube channels to make it look like the information that they want to sell as the next agenda. They're using the YouTubers as the way to make it look human, to make it look organic. And that's how people are going to believe it. And since the YouTubers are going back and forth, then that makes it even more real. Just keep this stuff in mind. I appreciate the support, really do. I'll stay on it for as long as I can. Keep doing it for as long as I can. I put the live stream up recently. I haven't commented on that. I put the live stream up recently to just try it out, see how it works. A perk to that is that some of these larger videos, like there's still a video, like a 20-hour live stream processing. Hopefully they don't remove that one. But like 20 hours of the Instagram compilation is uploaded all in one video, which is a really good thing, that I think. Other ones are like 3 hours, 2 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, or 11 hours, which is cool to have, so people can share and all kinds of stuff like that. But as far as like doing a live stream like that anymore, I'd have to be in another location and have another computer to do that. I don't want to have the internet running 24/7 in my little studio apartment just to play that. It feels kind of icky, almost like streaming that shit in. Streaming all that. I mean, the videos are great. I love them. I can still watch any one of them all the way through on my own. But like to have that running 24/7 was kind of like weighing on me non-physically in a way. So I'd have to have that a part of something else. Maybe I'll do it in the future sometime. But once I saw that 20 and 11 and 6 hours of those compilations are uploaded in one video, then people can just watch those live streams and play them at any point of any of those 20 hours or 6 or 3 hours, and they can get like a version of the live stream too. So yeah, keep that in mind too. That's what I was thinking when I saw that, and why I stopped doing it too. But yeah, next video I'll go into, unless something else comes up, is give a little update on the fasting. Really, really good insights on that. Really good insights even after breaking the fast, that I didn't even realize that we're going to be there which is a beautiful thing. So I'll share that pretty soon. So thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.